There we go. Like every morning, guys, this is going to be interesting. We'll see how it works. I'm Jim Adkins from Adkins Results Coaching, and I had a friend, a client, a student reach out yesterday, and we were discussing grief. Well, not really grieving, but how to get through or get past or get over a loss, or how to deal with a loss. And I'm not talking about a financial loss, although it could be a financial loss, but it's not. We're talking about when you lose people in your life. How do you deal with that? And for me, this is one of those subjects where I'm definitely not an expert on. I have had, I've lost people in my life, and not to make light of it, but I didn't lose them and misplace them. They passed on. And even relationships have ended can be considered a loss. People moving away can be considered a loss. But I'm going to try and focus as much as I can, give you examples from my life and the lives of people that I've helped, and not necessarily give you advice about it, but talk a little bit about what I've learned. And again, I'm not an expert in grieving, and I'm not an expert in loss, so to speak. So I want you to know that. And it's actually one of those things that for a long time, I just let it go. And that's probably not the best advice, but let's get into it here real quick. And for me to get into any talk, to get into any video that I'm working on, I try to put myself in state. And as you can imagine, dealing with a loss is not a state of mind I want to be in, but I'm here all morning. I don't know if you can, there we go. All morning while I'm preparing for this, and last night while I was preparing, not last night when I was preparing was okay, but this morning when I started preparing, I've been sitting here for almost 40 minutes trying to get the computer to work, trying to get things going. And that whole time, my head moves in different directions. So my train of thought and my focus shifted. And I can only assume that it's for the best. Let's find out. So loss, I'm dealing with loss. So the first thing I can tell you is the first memory of loss that I have, is my father, my father, my biological father. When I was 9, he died. I can remember from being told about pets that I had lost. But the first one I really remember is my father. Okay. I was 9. He was in an auto accident. He was taken quickly. For a 9-year-old, life is just getting started. We're having a good time. I don't really know a whole lot about what's going on. I was lied to about his accident. I was lied to about his stay in the hospital. And even through my young adult, I was lied to. And I'm not saying it was a hurtful lie, but I was lied to. I wasn't told the absolute truth about how he spent his time in the hospital and what actually occurred in the passing of his life. So when he did pass at 9, I remember looking, now this is hindsight, right? As an adult, I can remember looking at others to see how I should respond. And it's very strange for me to look back and realize that at that time in my life, being so young and not knowing a lot of things, that while I'm looking to others for the way I should react, I started feeling that I don't want to be that way, or I don't want to be that way, or I don't want to be that way. I'm just going to do this. So how I handled it, I shut it off. I shut it down. Nobody would grieve around me so much. I can look back and try to remember, people really sharing their grief with me. But no, pretty much the conversations were, oh, poor you. This is terrible. Oh, your dad was a great person. I mean, everybody trying to reassure you, that kind of stuff. So my dealing with his loss wouldn't happen until later. When we had the funeral, he died. He was in the hospital for 101 days. So it gave me a long time to get used to, if there is a way to get used to, not having him around. 101 days in a coma. So it was a slow process for his passing. And I think that has something to do with how I handled it. When we went to the funeral, I refused to look in the casket. When they forced me to look at him, I refused to give him a kiss. It's just, because they were telling me to do this. This is what you have to do. This is what you should do. And they were shooting all over me. And as 9 years old, you do what you do. I can remember later wanting to feel sad about it. Everybody else had felt sad about it. It's my turn. So I buried myself in music, and I would listen to the saddest songs or any song that reminded me of him or put me in a state to where I could feel, sad. And I would crank it and I would cry. And that was my way of dealing with it. And this might have been year, 2, 3 years after the fact, at least 2 years after the fact. I was still doing that, wanting to be sad about his passing, trying to remember the good things about him, and then it just went away. Now, did that mean I forgot my father? No, absolutely not. At 9, I didn't have a whole lot of memories, but we had pictures. And when you look at a picture, you can create a memory. You can build a story around it, or somebody else will build a story for you. And that memory of my father stayed ever present, ever present. I have not to this day forgotten who I believe he was. That belief has come from many different places, and we'll talk about that in another video. But the grieving part, am I still sad that I lost him? How do you answer that? How do you want me to answer it? Do you want me to be sad about losing my father? Because I can go there. I have control over my emotions. I can be sad. I can think of sad things. But who am I sad for? Am I sad for him? Or am I sad for myself? Or am I sad for you because that's what you put upon me? So these are my questions when it comes to dealing with loss. I know there are 5 steps of grieving. People grieve differently. What I'm going to share with you right now is just some simple ideas on your belief system, which is what we talked about a couple days ago, and what I think you could do to help you with a loss. First and foremost, I'm not going to tell you to get over it. When I say when people say just get over it, move on, what are they trying to tell you? I think basically what they bless their heart, they're trying to tell you is, don't share that with me anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. When people tell you to move on or to get over it, I imagine they're probably saying, you know what? I'm done listening to this. I don't want to hear you talk about it anymore. I wish you'd just get over it. That's their way of handling your situation. It has nothing to do with good advice for you. Okay. So let's just get that off the table right now. Get over it, move on. That's not what I want to tell you. So anything I say pertaining to dealing with this is not meant to tell you to get over it. Okay. Just understand that, because I believe when you lose somebody in your life, and we're going to stick with losing somebody. Okay. When you lose somebody in your life, no matter how old they are, or how close to you they were, the closer they were to you, the more this is going to make sense. But they're gone. Okay, you did lose them. And I can guarantee you right now, I've heard this said, that 100% of the people in your life have a 100% chance of dying. It's a truth. It's an inevitability, right? Even me. I did face my own death a couple of times, and we can throw that in here too. And let you know how I handled my grieving of my own personal stuff. But let's get here. Number 1, when dealing with a loss, ask yourself this. How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? Some of the answers might be, well, I'm going to be sad. Why are you sad? Okay, asking questions and finding out the why is what I'm about. So why are you sad? Are you sad for them? Are you sad for yourself? Now, if you say yes, you really haven't dissected this enough yet. Okay. It's going to come down to, what do you believe happens next? If you're a religious person and you believe they've gone to heaven or they've gone to wherever your belief takes them after death, after this life, if you believe in the reincarnation or the guff or whatever it is your belief is, will probably help you dictate what the emotion for them will be. Well, they lived a terrible life. That's your judgmental on a person that you may have loved. And now they're in hell. I feel so bad that they didn't accept Jesus Christ and now they're going to hell. Well, that's your judgment. You're passing judgment upon them. Whether it's your belief or not, was it their belief? If it's your belief and it makes you feel sad because of this person's passing, again, who are you sad for? So that's a big question. I can't tell you what to believe. I'm not going to. I can't tell you how to respond to that. I'm not going to. What I'm going to tell you, though, is how do you want to feel about their passing? Because you have control over that. You absolutely do. Well, Jim, I want to feel all the emotions. Have at it. Have at it. Take some time to remember them and be sad that they're not around because you loved them. How great is it to know that you love them so much that it makes you very sad that they're not here? That's your choice, and you can do that. Okay. How about happy? Can you be happy with someone who's passed? Yeah. Do you have any good memories? Why were you friends with them? Why did you marry them? Why, if you had the kids, you don't have to tell me why or how you had them, but they're your children or your parents or whatever, and they pass. Happy moments? I'll bet you can find some. Even the worst relationships, parent, sibling, ex-husband or wife, even those, if you look, could have fond memories. Otherwise, your grieving is almost unnecessary, except for you. Hope I didn't take you too far on the barn there. So first question is, how do you want to feel? Can it really be that easy? Yeah, it can absolutely be that easy. Can you be angry? Yes, you can be angry. Can you be confused? Yes, you can be confused. Can you be joyful? Yes, you can be joyful. All of these things are in your control. You can do that. Let's move past that. How do you want to feel? Do you want to let it go? People will tell you to let it go, get over it, move on, so on and so forth. Do you want to? And if you don't, are you going to be hanging on to it? Yes. Then try not to figure out why it is you can't let go. If you're looking at the situation and somebody passes and you're going and you don't want to let it go for whatever reason, let's assume you don't want to let it go because you think that makes you a bad person. Well, if I'm not sad or I don't mourn or I don't feel bad about this, other people will think I'm cold-hearted. Who gives a shit what other people think? If it's how you want to feel, and you can look at the situation and go, you know what? They lived a great life. We had a great connection. We have a great spiritual connection and bond. I have incredible memories. And what is life if nothing more than an accumulation of memories, right? And you get to choose which ones to keep. They've moved on. I'll see them in the next life, or I'll see them in whatever your belief is, right? Or I'll see them daily in my prayers, my thoughts, my actions. They made me a better person. I got this. Oh, man, you do this and you realize that's something they taught me to do. How cool is that? So do you want to let it go? Do you have to let it go? It's your choice. Don't do it because other people say this is what you need to do to get on with your... No. The person that reached out to me said that their emotional center had shut down completely because the blunt of the blow. And when I first got the information, it sounded like a dozen people had died in their life all at once. And I was like, holy cow, how do you, that's something. But it really wasn't that way. They just found out about it. And then it was a short amount of time where several people passed away, different circumstances and so on. But for one, they were notified about 7 or 8 of them almost all at once. And their emotional center shut down because the logic, they couldn't make sense out of it. Who says you need to make sense out of it? Now, that may be part of the grieving process and trying to figure out why. But let me share another death in my life with you. One of my best friends died way too young. And he was on a path that just wasn't good for him. I mean, it's not good for anybody to do what he was doing at the time. But as that proceeded and happened, my first response was logic. I want to know why. I want to know who. And if somebody did it to him, I'm going to take care of it. And I made it my personal path to discover all the answers logically as to why this happened. Without looking at all the logical reasons, it did. I created a whole scenario that allowed me to grip onto that, hang on to it, and live in that misery for almost a year and a half, directly and solidly affected my life for that long. I jumped into it with both feet, couldn't let it go. For a few years even, I still had a belief that this person really didn't pass away. He was in a witness protection program somewhere, and I'm going to find him. I couldn't let it go. I couldn't move on. Eventually, I did. Is that person in my life still? Yeah, in my memories, in my music. They're there. How do I handle it? How do I let it go? I choose to deal with it. I choose every day what I'm going to focus on. We're going to come back to that. Okay. No expert. I'm trying to read my notes because, like I said, this morning got me all set up. My own death, we can talk about that. Now, when handling a loss, how someone passes may have an effect on how you handle it. So how they pass away, like my friend is in a car accident. My father was in a car accident. Somebody hit him, ran a stop sign and hit my father. Totally their fault. My friend's auto accident was under investigation. There's still to this day, there could be, little things going on there, but that's neither here nor there. I've seen people shot in front of me and gone. That I've hurt people myself, not killed them, but hurt them to where they suffer a loss of things. And these things stay with you. So how it happens could dictate, what if they take their own life? The questions you have about that will probably never be fully answered. And you'll come up with all kinds of solutions or reasoning or logic that will tell you it wasn't your fault, or it was your fault, or I could have done something to change that. I had a young person in my life, and it's been more than once that this has occurred in our big circle, but in the last 10 years, we had one younger person take their own life, and they had actually contacted me a day or two before it happened. And it was just a text message, and they said, "Hey, Sifu, how are you?" And I'm great, good. How are you? And I hadn't seen him for a little while. And hey, tell everybody at the dojo I said hi. Yeah, I'll do that. You have a great day. And then 1 or 2 days later, they were gone. And I did it. My logic, my emotions took me to, man, could I have done more? It was a simple text conversation. I still saved it. Why? It's just one of those reminders, right, of this person. It was a happy conversation. But from a text, you can't really get that. So how did I deal with it? Well, emotionally, I felt for the mom. Why? The mom was a good friend of ours. Great friend. Love her to death. Love her. Still feel for her. I can't imagine what that would be like. And through her grieving, what we heard was people tell her logically, get over it, move on. It happened. You need to learn to deal with it. No, you don't move on. You move forward with it. It is in your life. It happened. Dwelling on how it happened or why it happened can be detrimental, but I'm not going to tell you how to choose to deal with it. You get to choose. But first, you got to ask, how do you want to deal with it? What is it you want to do with what you're dealing with? Do you want to get rid of it? This individual person who came to me yesterday said that they're having a hard time building new relationships, getting close friends because they're afraid. I don't know if it's exactly because they're afraid of losing them, but this dealing with all this loss has locked them into a shell. Is that how you want to live your life? Do you want to stay locked away from others? Because listen, you can shut yourself off from the world and never love, never be happy, never share. And in my opinion, that's a horrible way to live, but then death may not affect you at all, other people's death. And when you die, who's going to grieve for you? Not that it's important that someone does, but think about it. What will you leave behind? So I know that's a little harsh and that wasn't judgmental, but I want you to think about how do you want to deal with this? If somebody passes, what do you want to remember about that person? Let's move on from there. Okay. And I'll try to get more direct about this and get off of here before too long. It's already been 20 minutes. What are your beliefs? What are your paradigms? What do you feel about afterlife? Know this. When logic tries to take over, it's your conscious and subconscious trying to make sense of what is taking place emotionally by digging through your experiences and coming up with rational reasoning or excuses why you're feeling how you're feeling, why you're not feeling how you're feeling. And some of those are based on other people's interpretation of what you should be doing. Don't let people shoot on you. People will tell you they can tell you, like I'm telling you, I can tell you my experiences. I can tell you the experiences that were shared to me, but I can't tell you how to feel. I can tell you that you shouldn't. You get to decide how you feel every day. You get to decide the meaning behind whatever's taking place. Trying to give meaning to something that simply is what it is can be a practice in futility, waste. I don't like to say wasted time because any time spent learning is always time well spent, even if you learn how not to do something. So how do you want to feel? Let's talk about the 5 human needs real quick, and I'll try and get off here. 5 human needs. Certainty. These are the 5 needs that we have a tendency as human beings to fill our lives around. We need, number 1, certainty. We need to know that the sun's going to rise. We need to know that that person's going to be there for us. Number 2, variety. I know in God's infinite wisdom, she decided that instead of having just certainty into our life, we needed variety. Can you imagine how boring it would be every day just to go through the same things over and over and over and over and not have any kind of variety at all? In Michigan and Mother Nature loved to do that. It was 43 degrees this morning when I woke up. I'll talk about that another time. So certainty and variety. Significance. We all need to feel significant. Stay with me. You're going to find out how these things fit into dealing with loss. Significance. We need to feel like we matter. Okay. Significance. We fit in. Love and connection. We all need to feel love. And if you don't, and you shut that off, you're missing out. And I'm telling you, you will know it in your actions, your behaviors, your fulfillment in life. If you're not living in an abundance of love and connection, you're missing some important funness, some greatness in life. So, and that's one of the 5 human needs. And then 6 human needs. Excuse me. No, 5. And then contribution. We all need to feel like we're giving back. So look at your situation. You're dealing with a loss. You cannot emotionally handle it. So you're logically trying to make sense of it. And your logic center has shut down and just won't allow you to, or can't allow you to logically come up with a reason for all of these people dying, or this one individual dying, or this is how it happened, or whatever it is, the loss that you have. You cannot logically make sense of it. Stop trying to logically make sense of it. It is what it is. Now, how do you want to handle it? How do you want to feel about it? Well, I want to feel sad. Why? Because it makes me feel like I truly loved them. Then feel sad, but not all the time. They wouldn't want you to be sad all the time. I don't want you to be sad all the time. You don't want to be sad all the time, right? But allow yourself that sadness. But be joyous in the thought of your sadness. You're sad, and that feeling you feel is real. Getting over it, getting over the moment, maybe, but getting over why you're sad, no, it ain't going to happen. I got a student coming in now. I'm going to try and jump off of here. And I hate to leave you right here, so I may just run intermission and unlock the door. I should have done that first. Give me 1 second. Okay, maybe 30 seconds. Good. Bathroom break. Did you go to the bathroom? Good. All right. So there's a lot coming. So be sad and be joyous in the idea that you're sad because you did love them, and that's what allows you to feel that true sadness. Then move on from that moment. Okay. Take your loss and let's check the 5 human needs. 1, is it fulfilling your certainty? Yes. That loss and you feeling the way you feel about that loss reconfirms that nothing is certain. Or, death, people dying is certain. For certain, for sure. Someday, everybody that you know will be dead. Including you, including me. It's just how it is, right? Variety. Does it fulfill a need of variety? You grieving about this all the time, you can be certain things will trigger you to grieve. How you grieve, where you grieve, and what pops up may fill your variety. Wow, I never thought, God, you remember that? Oh, and then the variety of memories. Sure, so it's fulfilling your variety. Significance. Are you getting significance from it? This one is probably one of the keys why people overgrieve. Uso. And when I say overgrieve, what I mean is have a tendency not to want to let it, have a tendency not to want to handle it in a healthy way, okay? Because they pour it on people daily. And listen, a lot of people don't want to hear you grieve all the time. That's just the truth. They don't want you to pour your sadness or your misery out on them over and over and over, and bless their hearts. That's where you're going to get the expression, just get over it, just move on, because that's really what they're saying is, don't bother me with this anymore. I've moved on. Okay, so they're not really trying to be hurtful. But are you getting significance? Yeah, because you're feeling like people recognize you, and they recognize the fact that you're sad about so-and-so or so-and-so's passing away. And that gives you significance. I'm a good person because I feel bad. Is that healthy? I don't know. Love and connection. The lack of love and connection, or the missing of love and connection with this individual or individuals who have passed, is definitely a significant feeling that causes you to feel with certainty that you loved them and now they're gone. So love and connection, yeah, by grieving, you're getting your love and connection part, even if it's at a distance. Can you still feel that all the time? Yeah. Contribution. Are you contributing to anything by over grieving or grieving for long periods of time about the loss? Your contribution may be other people see you and don't want to be that way. Other people see you and relate to you. Other people look at you and want to do what you're doing. So there's some contribution there. So if it fulfills any of those 5 human needs, chances of letting it go or getting on with it are probably not going to happen. Is that okay? Yes. How do you change it? How do you deal with it? Well, there are no rules. There are no rules to grieving, to death, to dealing with a loss. There are no rules. Don't let somebody tell you these are the 5 steps. You have to go through these 5 steps. No, you don't. Are they psychologically tested to where people know that they exist? Absolutely. Are they helpful to be able to recognize where you're at? Sure. Just like any map that you want to look at to find out where you're at, where you want to be, and how many different ways can you take to get there. Those 5 steps can be a map, but they're not rules. Just like the map, you can take any direction you want. The map just simply says, these are the outlined routes that other people have taken. Might be a little more well-traveled. These are the routes you could take. If you take these routes, it'll take you 10 times longer. Your map, your destination, your location. How do you want to get there? How do you want to feel? What do you want to do with your grieving? Real quickly, in a nutshell. No way, right? We had 30 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. When you cannot logically make sense of passing and your emotional center has shut down, I'm going to call bullshit. You're feeling frustrated or angry or confused or sad, void, lackadaisical. You shut yourself down. When you shut yourself down, it's not because you can't deal with it. It's because you chose not to. take time to deal with it. Put it in its place. Put it in perspective. Logically, if you can't do it, emotionally handle it. If you can't find your emotions to do that, you can use void or the disconnect to put it on somebody else. And then do what I just laid out for you. Ask yourself, how do you want to handle this? How do you want to feel about it? If you think it's causing you problems in other areas of your life, you can totally cut it loose. Totally. You get to choose when and where and why you want to form relationships. It has very little to do with not being able to logically handle a loss. You get to choose. And if your excuse or reasoning is, I don't have a lot of close friends because I'm afraid this is going to happen, then I call bullshit. That's something that you put in your head. That's a paradigm you set up. That's a rule you made about this situation. Truth of the matter is, you can make friends or build relationships with anybody, but you choose the people you choose for whatever reasoning you come up with. It's the truth. Nobody knows when you're going to fall in love. Maybe not when, but you get to choose if you fall in love or not. I don't want to go there, but so I don't know if that helped. All I can do is share with you what I've been through and what I think you can do. And the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 things that I believe can fit this situation. 1, ask yourself, what do you want to get out of this? How do you want to feel? Number 2, what do you believe is taking place? What are your beliefs about afterlife? If you can put that into perspective, and even if you have no beliefs, we live, we die, we're done, then move on. I told you I wouldn't say that, right? Move on from the moment, not the person who's passed. There's a difference. Move on from the moment. The person who's passed will always be with you. Always, no matter what you believe. That didn't sound right. I think they're always with you. All right. Going to have some follow-up questions. That's okay. When I faced my death, I didn't handle it the best way I wanted to. I wasn't the hero I thought I would stand up and be at first. When I've hurt other people in self-defense type situations, and I mean really hurt people, that doesn't go away. It changes me. It changed the fact that I know I can and I don't really want to. Has made me a better person from being able to look at things like that. And I think every loss can do that for every person. The memory, the association, the relationship, including the relationship with the loss, can make you a better person, can add to your personality. You get to choose. You really do. All right, let's talk further. Man, 34 minutes. Got a mouthful of nothing, really. On your mark, get set, grow. Bless your heart, computer. You really don't know what you're doing, do you, computer? It's going to go black here in a minute, guys. Leave. Your stream will stop immediately and you will no longer be live. Good. So,